Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale were groundbreaking games when they first released, offering innovative turn-based strategy gameplay that felt like a modern version of chess with rules of Dungeons & Dragons. The success of these games led to the creation of a sequel called Baldur's Gate 2, titled Shadows of Amn, which was also a massive hit, selling 1.5 million copies by December 2002 and continuing to gross 3.5 million copies today. Black Isle Studios was the original creator of the Baldur's Gate games, and they faced financial difficulties in the mid-2000s, ultimately shutting down in 2014, leaving the anticipated Baldur's Gate 3, titled The Black Hound, on the proverbial shelf. However, Larian Studios, based in Belgium, took on the challenge of creating the next chapter of Baldur's Gate, and they did not disappoint. Baldur's Gate 3 is a fantastic successor to the previous titles. Larian Studios is a video game development company that was founded in 1996. The company started with small-scale projects and eventually gained recognition with its release of the critically acclaimed RPG Divine Divinity in 2002. This is around the same time Baldur's Gate 2 peaked its success. Since then, Larian Studios has continued to develop and publish many successful RPG titles, including the Divinity series, Divinity Original Sin, and its sequel Original Sin 2. The studio has been praised for its innovative game design, storytelling, and attention to detail. Today, Larian Studios is considered one of the top RPG developers in the industry and continues to create immersive and engaging games for players worldwide. I have a link in the description directing you to their website. However, the time between Baldur's Gate 2 and 3 was around 23 years, and given there was a change in creators, Larian Studios had some time to experiment and get many things right. But what I think is most notable is the fact that they did not work on the earlier Baldur's Gate games, providing a serendipitous opportunity for Larian Studios to produce a blockbuster title. The original Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale games, when they first debuted, exposed us to a well-defining turn-based and strategy game system that I will go into greater detail later on. But essentially, we were playing a more modernized version of chess, using the rule set established by Dungeons & Dragons, providing the lore Baldur's Gate has always leaned heavily upon. Dissecting the numbers shows that Baldur's Gate 1 sold a robust 700,000 copies by the year 2000 and 2 million copies worldwide by 2005, meaning it rolled a 1d20 critical hit overall and exposed tons of players to D&D without even knowing it. Following up on their recent success, Black Isle Studios produced Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Amn, in the last quarter of the year 2000. Also hitting a massive achievement, selling 1.5 million copies by December 2002, just 27 months after launch, and grossing a total of 3.5 million copies sold currently in 2023. This was approximately 2.1 times faster than its predecessor within a similar 27-month period. With the success of prior installments, many wonder if Larian's Baldur's Gate 3 will live up to the expectations and hype that Black Isle Studios and BioWare established when the genre was blossoming. Since the launch of Baldur's Gate 3 in August 2023, it has been reported selling over 21 million copies, exceeding release expectations. This success can be attributed to the game's lore, gameplay mechanics, and character development, which we will now cover in greater detail. Starting with lore, if you're familiar with the aforementioned games and are up to date with the 5th edition of D&D, there really isn't much to cover here, so this part is mainly for those new to Baldur's Gate 3 or the fantasy genre. Please use the timestamps listed below to advance to the next section, or hang out for my rudimentary introduction onto high fantasy fiction. When I say high fantasy, it is the term used to explore ideas adjacent to the real world, such as we know and understand how science, fact, and laws govern reality in terms of life, motion, and evolution. Yet magic doesn't exist in our world. Therefore, we can write literature and produce movies and games to capture those ideas and explore human nature in conjunction with those themes using high fantasy. High fantasy is not restricted to the ideology of a knight serving a king and having an affair with the queen. We can go into space, aka the final frontier, and journey under the sea, as well as traveling to the center of the earth, or explore a multiverse of infinite possibilities, but I think you get the idea. High fantasy allows our minds to explore and become creative in a non-fictional manner, providing us an opportunity to project onto a point of view that would either be agreeable or disagreeable if things were different. Within the diverse structures of Dungeons & Dragons, there are many different lores and planes of existence. Forgotten Realms is one of the most well-known D&D continuities, mainly because it is the universe that Baldur's Gate, the Sword Coast, and Icewind Dale storylines converge. With all of those references and sources, the Forgotten Realms provides a vast and diverse world filled with many different cultures, races, religions, and creatures. The world is also home to many powerful beings, including gods and other supernatural entities. One of the most crucial aspects of the Forgotten Realms is its history. It is a world that has been shaped by countless wars, battles, and other conflicts. The Time of Troubles is one of the most significant events in the history of Baldur's Gate. This was a time when the gods themselves were forced to walk the earth, and many mortals found themselves caught up in their struggles. Those of us who played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 may remember the Ballspawn saga, where we played as and interacted with children of those gods respectively. The Time of Troubles had a profound impact on the Forgotten Realms continuity, and it is something that is still felt to this day. Many of the characters in Baldur's Gate 3 are either directly or indirectly affected by the events of the Time of Troubles. For example, some of the characters may worship the gods who were involved in the conflict, while others may have been born during the Time of Troubles and were raised in a world that was still reeling from the aftermath. The Time of Troubles serves as a reminder that even the most powerful beings in the universe are not immune to the conflict, and that mortals can be caught up in the struggles of gods and their other supernatural entities. When we examine the core of RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3, we could see the reflection of modern-day sociology. This diversity allows us to draw parallels with our real-world society, which is equally diverse in terms of race, ethnicity, culture, and religion, thus providing us a rich narrative that navigates through those hot topics. The game's characters come from different backgrounds and have their own unique stories, which mirror similar diverse expositions and experiences of people in our society. Another aspect of Baldur's Gate 3 that could be correlated with modern-day sociology is the concept of conflict and how it affects our society. A main aspect of Baldur's Gate 3 that could be correlated with modern-day sociology is the concept of conflict and how it affects society. Conflicts and wars in our society have a lasting effect on the world and in people's lives one way or another, thereby paralleling the Time of Troubles and the Ballspawn story arcs. Personally, I am a veteran of the Afghanistan and Iraqi wars, and have seen firsthand the positive and negative fallouts with our occupations and withdrawals. These experiences affect and influence my day-to-day decisions as a person, and the type of people who I consider my close-knit family. Concurrently, while there are people who may respect my socioeconomic and political points of view, there are others who disagree and contend with it regardless of an empathetic response. Baldur's Gate helps us explore those sensitive constructs by pitting warring nations against each other through mainstream conflict or subterfuge, very reminiscent for recent TV series of Amazon Prime Video's Jack Ryan. The game's characters are affected by the aftermath of the Time of Troubles, just as people in real life are affected by the aftermath of conflicts. For example, many of the playable and non-playable characters within Baldur's Gate 3 have suffered from trauma and loss or significant mutilation, which happens a lot from wars and conflict. By exploring these themes, the game sheds light on the impact of conflict on society and the importance of healing and recovery. This is just one of the many ways in which Baldur's Gate offers a thought-provoking and immersive experience to its players. This concludes my introduction lecture to the lore of Baldur's Gate 3, and we still have 2 more sections to discuss. The next section is on gameplay and mechanics, which will cover how Baldur's Gate 3 provides an immersive experience through providing your character input. This is merely a smaller section of a longer video, so please refer to the timestamps below to navigate around or wait for the next section to publish on YouTube. If this was all you wanted or needed, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the like or subscribe buttons for more content. If you're still hanging around for this ride, then let's move on to the next section.